Welcome back to the lab. Today I have this nice lovely 50-inch plasma display that someone gave me because, as you can see, there are black lines on the screen, unfortunately. And I'm going to see if I can try and fix that. Interestingly, this was the very TV that did not like the HDMI adapter previously. I had a problem with this. I plugged it in and it didn't work. And that was before I had the EDID working properly, so I fixed that, so now it works great, except these black lines. The owner of this was going to get rid of it and said, hey, you want it? And I was like, sure. So we're going to see if I can fix this today. And I did a little research, so it's possible it may just be a dirty cable inside, so we'll take it apart and find out. And unfortunately, since it's so big, I'm having a hard time getting it up here to work on it. So the camera angle isn't going to be the best, but we'll persevere and see what's inside this thing. After removing about 500,000 screws, I do have the case open. It was relatively easy to open. You just remove all the screws and the back comes off. And I've had a hard time getting enough room in my work area just to do this because this thing is huge. So anyway, what I'm concentrating on is going to be these connectors right here. These connect right up to the display glass, and I'm not sure what these, I think these are just some kind of display data, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to take these off, and there is a lot of connections in here. Take them off and then use some, just like that. I don't know if this is going to fix anything, but we're going to find out. Just going to carefully pull straight up on each one of these. Whoops. Blast them with some canned air. I don't know if that's really going to do any good, but it can't hurt. So it looks like there's 6 of these, and they appear to be a multi-layer flex cable here. It's either a multi-layer or yeah, it seems to be a single flex cable, but it has multiple layers on it. So boards all seem to be seated properly. I think they call this a buffer board. And the chips are little QFPs, and interestingly, they have silicone all around the leads because this is high voltage, so I'm guessing they don't want like tobacco stuff from cigarettes and pet dander shorting these chips out and causing problems. So they figure if they squirt some silicone around here, that will fix the problem. So here's a close-up of the buffer board, and then these connectors here, and then these are those driver chips. I think I could probably zoom in a little bit. Yeah, how about that? So you can see there's the silicone around there, and then these are the connectors here, and I was carefully pop one off here. So there's the extremely high pitch surface mount, or fine pitch high pin density surface mount connector here. So I just can aired inside there to clean all that out. And there's a circuit board stiffener on the back of this cable. And the board's a little flexible, but it's okay. And there's the connections here. These connections connect this driver board to the buffer board here. And I'm also going to look at the YSustain board, which is on the other side. because sometimes that can cause problems, but I'm pretty sure it's okay, but we'll take a look anyway. Over on the other side is this YSustain board, as they call it, and it has 4 flex cables, but these flex cables appear to be just solid copper. There's no routes on them or anything. And the board up in the corner of the screen is with all the big orange capacitors. That's the YSustain driver, and that's handling about most of the power, I think, that goes into one of these. And it has some nice big fat film caps, some big electrolytics and fats and other fun goodies on there. Definitely don't touch that when it's running. Here's a close-up of one of those flex cables. You just pull the little hand out of the way. You pull this little latch out from both sides, and then the cable just comes out after that. And as we can see, it's just a solid ribbon, so I don't think I really have to do a whole lot of hunting on that, because we know that it's not big swaths of the screen that's not working, it's just single lines. And that other buffer board seems to drive those single lines, so now that I've taken those connectors off over there and put them back on, maybe I'll fire this up again and we'll see if it works. Well, moment of truth time. I even got the handy dandy remote, and it has this, it even has a button to light the buttons up. How about that? Nope, doesn't look like it fixed it. I can still see some faint lines on there. Turn the good old NES on here. There we go. Yeah, I still see those lines. Start a game. And I'm sure we'll see those horizontal lines. There was like 11 of them before. Wiggle the board a little bit over there and see what happens. I'm just gonna use a good old pen here. I'm gonna tap on those little boards because I don't want to get zapped. Nothing. Nothing. No. So it looks like those lines might be coming from the flex cables where they attach to the glass itself. So that's probably not going to be fixable, but I will take this bezel off here and we'll see what that looks like. After a whole lot of trouble, I finally got the panel apart here. I got the bezel that goes around here is off now, and we can see right where the glass connects to this ribbon cable, and this is where the problem's going to be. So I don't think this is going to be easy to fix. I might be able to push something behind the ribbon to pull it back out towards this glass, but this is where the problem lies, right here. So when I run this, I will run a plastic tool back in there and gently push this back up to the glass, and we'll see if those lines go away. I have a plastic stick here, and this plastic stick I will use to push on that so I don't get zapped. It looks like all the problems, I can see the actual signals from the driver chips, and it appears most of the problems are centered on this one particular driver right here. But I can't see any change, which is interesting. No change on this line here, that's interesting. I guess it's possible there's nothing wrong with the actual connections to the glass, but that's usually what causes such a problem. Yeah, I don't see any change. Yeah, it's still 11, actual 11 rows of pixels. There's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So it is the same as before. So yeah, that big band of pixels is coming from the second ribbon cable down. Most of the others are coming from the third ribbon cable, and this single line down here is coming from the fourth ribbon cable by the looks of it. Yeah, because there is a single connection to every single row through these ribbon cables. You can actually see the circuit board or the circuit routing in the glass itself, which is pretty neat actually. What's interesting is it looks like there are 3 routes actually blown open on the glass. I mean, it could be just some trash in there. But it actually looks like there's a failure on the glass itself. It looks like 3 of the routes are blown open. It's very strange. This other one where it has a bunch of individual lines not working, oh, you can actually see them too. They appear to be blown open as well. I'll try and get the camera in here to show this. I don't know if you could see that, but there are 3 bad routes right here. See that little black mark? If you look closely, or if I can see it, I'll get my little magnifier here. Actually, let's see, will that work through the camera? That would be pretty funny if it did. See that black mark right there is what I'm talking about. Those are those 3 burned routes, and you see there are 1, 2, 3. Sorry about the shaking. This is very touchy to get this to work like this, and I know the lighting's horrible. Let's see if I can gain another hand here. Those 3 routes are visibly broken, unfortunately. So now if I go down to the next chip, this is very difficult here. Unfortunately, on the next chip, it's the same deal. Come on, focus. So here's the next set here, and you can also see the damage on it too, unfortunately. There's one blown one. That's the second set of bars. Sorry, this is very difficult to keep the camera in focus here. And then there's the other ones where there's a couple that are blown. And the pattern of the blown routes is the same pattern that they don't work on the display. See, there's another one, and then there's a couple more, and then there's that cluster right there. There's another one and another one. Here's a close-up of what the plasma looks like. I think it's interesting that you can actually see some, especially like on the darker, you can see that dithering pattern. That's normal, but I find that highly interesting actually, because the plasma display doesn't have a very high dynamic range, so they actually use dithering to increase it. And here's some more detail on those broken scan lines. There's 2, 4, 5, 6 right there, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then there's one all the way down there, number 11. The other thing I thought was interesting on the black screen here on this cloud is you can see like a negative image of this cloud, like burned into the plasma display, and it hasn't even been running that long. Yeah, right here you can see that negative image of the cloud. So that's pretty interesting. Well, unfortunately I couldn't fix this monitor. We at least know what's wrong with the monitor, and that's the glass electrodes are actually blown open like a fuse. So that tells me there's probably no way at all to fix this. It was not the flex cables like I originally thought it was, which is fairly interesting because I'm used to those things failing a lot. Because that's what happens most of the time if you see rows or columns out in a display. It's usually those flex cables. But in this case it ended up to actually be a problem on the glass itself. So I don't know, I'll probably keep it around for a while, but it's pretty big, so I will most likely end up taking it apart, getting all the parts off of those boards and gutting it because, well, it's not that fun to play games or watch movies where there's a whole bunch of horizontal lines in the screen. And it doesn't look like it's fixable because it's a glass problem, and unless you replace a glass, which isn't available, there's probably no way to fix it. So, well, you can't win them all, and so this is one of those repair fails, but hope you learned something. I learned something about how these plasmas work, and at least this particular failure mode. Thanks a lot for watching.